Assalamualaikum and good evening, everyone. My name is Amazing, an English teacher from SM Imtiaz Ulul Albab Melaka, and I'm delighted to be your moderator tonight as we explore assessment methods that go beyond the traditional written test. We have an impressive group of panelists who each bring a unique perspective to the table. Sitting with us is Cikgu Air Natasha, a dedicated classroom teacher who believes the most meaningful learning moments often happen when pencils are down and students are interacting. Teacher Tasha, could you start off, please? What role does observation play in assessing student learning?
Thanks to our moderator, Mr. Amir. In this era of technological advancement and fast development of the world, it is also important for us to develop our citizens in terms of education and manners to build a well-rounded individual. This is best done in schools through education where they gain knowledge every day. In my opinion, as a teacher working in schools, the best way for us to monitor our students is through observational assessments rather than the traditional written test evaluation because it offers insights that go beyond test scores or even written assessment. To answer your question, as a teacher, I found it easy to assess students by observing them because we can capture real-time understanding of the students. We can see how students apply their knowledge and skill in real time, whether it is solving a maths question, during a discussion, or conducting an experiment. Observational assessment is an ongoing assessment. It occurs while the content is still being taught. By observing students, teachers are informed of what the students know and do not know. Teachers are informed of what the strengths and weaknesses of that particular topic. This way, teachers can find ways to adjust according to the students' understanding. Besides that, by observing students, it also gives us teachers space and time for feedback and intervention. Teachers can notice if the students are having trouble comprehending a topic, even if they do not tell us directly. Therefore, teachers can take precautionary measures along the way in order to help students to fully overcome their weaknesses and not wait until the final year examination to assess their.
That is indeed an interesting insight. And may I ask, Cikgu Tasha, how do you effectively observe and evaluate students in various settings, such as laboratories, workshops, and fieldwork? And what strategies can we use to ensure objectivity and reliability in observational assessment?
Well, that is some great questions you have there, Mr. I will explain about this based on those three settings, which are laboratories, workshops, and fieldwork. Okay, in laboratories and workshops, we can evaluate them by observing their skills and behaviors. For example, how they handle equipment or tools when undertaking an experiment shows the level of understanding they have on tools and their functions. We can also see this in fieldworks. For example, studying the traffic flow in the local area. Educators can observe how the students' critical thinking, problem-solving skills, as well as their psychomotor skills based on how the students carry out the task, how they collect and analyze the data to come out with a conclusion. Another powerful way to effectively evaluate students' performance is through peer assessment. This type of assessment involves students observing and evaluating each other's work. This can be done during a presentation or performance. When they observe their peers' work and they can provide feedback based on those observations, it shows that they pay attention and understand what is being presented to them. Peer assessment can also help students to enhance their observational skill, thinking skill, and their interaction with society. These are all crucial skills in preparing our students for the outside world. To answer the second part of your question, that is on objectivity and reliability, as we can see here, observational assessment is good in enhancing students' cognitive as well as their interpersonal skills. However, we as educators must make sure that these assessments are objective and reliable in order to produce accurate and trustworthy results. Objectivity can reduce bias and it allows space for fair judgment, while reliability ensures that the results remain consistent over replications of assessment procedures. To come up with a reliable and objective result, teachers can conduct multiple observations in different contexts. For example, in the classroom, teachers can give out problem-solving questions with the same level of difficulties over a period of time. During that time, the teacher will observe uh, how the students answer the question. To make sure that they really understand what they learned and develop their thinking skill, they will surely give out a consistent way of answering the questions. Next, teachers can seek feedback from fellow colleagues. Feedback is actually important because it helps clarify expectations and align efforts towards the goal. Teachers can share the results with his or her colleagues. Um, where was yeah, I thought my second part. To answer the second part of your question, that is on objectivity and reliability, as we can see here, observational assessment is good in enhancing students' cognitive as well as interpersonal skills. However, we as educators must make sure that these assessments are objective and reliable in order to produce an accurate and trustworthy result. Objectivity can reduce bias and it allows space for fair judgment, while reliability ensures that the results remain consistent over replications of assessment procedures. To come up with a reliable and objective results, teachers can conduct multiple observations in different contexts. For example, in the classroom, teachers can give out problem-solving questions with the same level of difficulties over a period of time. During that time, the teacher will observe how the students answer the question to make sure that they really understand what they learn and make sure that they develop their thinking skills. They will surely give out a consistent way of answering the questions. Next, teachers can seek feedback from colleagues. Feedback is actually important expectations and align efforts towards the goal. Teachers can observations on students to their colleagues. Here, other teachers can provide feedback on that particular student to see whether the results are consistent or not. As a teacher, it is very important that we provide reliable results of assessment so that any interventions can be done accordingly towards their learning goals. After all, our main goal is to create a well-rounded individual that can demonstrate balance in intellectual, emotional, holistic, and physical well-being. I hope this answers your question, Mr. Amir.
Thank you, teacher Tasha. Okay. All right, Dr. Hasena. Turning to you next, what are the advantages and challenges of conducting oral tests? How can we structure them to effectively gauge comprehension and critical thinking? And in what context are oral tests most appropriate and how do they complement written assessment? Please, Doctor.
Yes, thank you for the question, Mr. Amir. So when we're talking about the advantages and the challenges of conducting oral tests, actually oral tests bring several important advantages to the table. Firstly, they allow for real-time interaction, which means I can immediately probe deeper into a student's understanding or clarify misconception. They also encourage students to articulate their thoughts clearly, helping to develop not just their cognitive skills, but also their communication and critical reasoning ability skills that are incredibly important in the real world. Secondly, another key benefit is that oral assessment reduces the risk of plagiarism and rote memorization. So this means that each student must respond uniquely and that spontaneity reflects true comprehension. Of course, these benefits comes with challenges. Oral tests are time consuming, especially in large class. There are also the issue of subjectivity where assessor must be very clear and consistent in the criteria. And for many students, especially those with anxiety or language barrier, oral assessment can be a little intimidating for them. That's why proper preparation, clear rubrics, and a supportive environment are very crucial. So how do we know that oral assessment can be structured effectively? It is actually a vital consideration. For oral assessment to be effective, they need to go beyond surface level questions. I myself usually start by designing scenario-based or open-ended questions that require students to analyze, evaluate, or apply concepts rather than just recall definitions. So structure is key. For example, I use a rubric that includes criteria such as depth of understanding, clarity of explanation, ability to justify answers, or use relevant terminology, as well as overall communication skills. So, sharing this rubric with students in advance will help students to prepare meaningfully. After that, mm, I also like to include a follow-up questions during the session. So, this will allow me to probe deeper based on their initial responses and assess how well they can adapt their thinking. In some cases, especially with final year project, I pair oral assessment with a written component or reflective piece to make the evaluation more comprehensive and well balanced. So, your last questions. Oral assessments actually are particularly well suited to field that require strong communication, real-time decision making, and applied reasoning, which includes disciplines like education, law, healthcare, languages, and the social sciences. They are also ideal for situations where students are presenting research, defending projects, or discussing practical fieldwork experience. In terms of complementarity, oral tests work beautifully alongside written assessment. While written tests assess structured thinking and academic thinking in academic writing, sorry. Oral assessment, on the other hand, provide a window into how students think aloud, respond under pressure, and communicate the ideas. For example, a student might submit a well-written report, and the oral exam will allow us to verify whether their authorship challenge their assumptions and evaluate their confidence and depth of knowledge. When we mix the methods together, we get a more holistic view of the student capabilities and ultimately lead to better learning outcomes. So, lastly, I believe that diversifying our assessment methods, especially through oral tests and other practical approaches, is not just about innovation, but about fairness and relevance. As a lecturer, it is our responsibility to ensure that our assessment truly reflect what students know, what students can do, in ways that prepare them for real life communication, problem solving, and professional challenges. So, with the right structure and support, oral assessment can play a powerful role in achieving this goal. So, yeah, that's all from me. Thank you for the opportunity to share my perspective today.
Thank you too, Dr. Hasina. Thank you so much. All right. Moving on for Puan Erda. Okay, Puan Erda. From the curriculum division, how do practical assessment contribute to a holistic understanding of student competency? What types of tasks or activities lend themselves well to practical assessment, and how do they align with learning objectives? And the last one is, how can this assessment be integrated into curriculum planning and instruction? Please, Puanenda.
Okay. Okay. Good day, everyone, and thank you, moderator, for the question. So, in today's current educational environment, the transition from traditional written exam to practical assessment is not only needed, but also required. So, as a curriculum division officer, we believe that practical assessment are essential to develop a well-rounded student that who are not just educated but also able to use their knowledge and what they have learned in real life scenario. So for the first question, for me, practical assessment is go far beyond rote memorization. They provide an engaging and genuine way to assess a student interpersonal, critical thinking, and also problem solving skill. Students are put in real or simulated scenario which require them to apply their knowledge, overcome challenges, and also show their expertise in meaningful way rather than memorize the facts. So there are three learning domains such as cognitive knowledge, psychomotor skill, and also affective attitude are addressed in practical assessment and also curriculum framework. This comprehensive approach provides a fuller view of student skill, including teamwork, leadership, communication, and also creativity. So I give you one example of a curriculum-based practical assessment, which is in entrepreneur module, where students show their creativity, business knowledge, and also problem-solving skill by designing and pitching product prototype. This offer valuable insight about how effectively students understand and apply concept in real life situation. So for the next second question, how practical assessment align with a learning objective? So me as a curriculum division officer, we must ensure that practical assessment technique are strategically related to learning outcome and promote holistic student growth. Practical assessment work best with hands-on, experiential, and also collaborative tasks. For example, we have experiment and scientific investigation in science or biology subject, where this activity evaluate their understanding of scientific concept, research skills, and also scientific process. So usually learning objective often include in design experiment, gathering the data, and also obtaining the conclusion. So next we have fieldwork or observation through geographic subject, which align with objective related to the data collection, analysis, and real world application of geographic tools. And then the last one we have PBL, which is project-based learning, such as design and technology subject, business subject, which evaluates student higher order thinking skill, including planning, investigation, innovation, which are essential for outcome-based learning. So all these tasks directly linked to learning outcome or objective, ensuring that students show the knowledge through performance rather than passive memory. So for the last question, how practical assessment be integrated into curriculum planning and instruction. So it is essential to ensure that practical assessment are not considered as add-ons, but rather are effectively integrated into curriculum planning and instruction. So in order to achieve this, curriculum planning must include a few key elements such as embed skill-based and performance-oriented learning outcome, which emphasize the skills, behavior, and real-world application required of the student. Next, we have elements for allocate time and resources for practical activities, which are lesson plan and work schedule must allocate time for practical learning activities like lab experiment, group project, and also fieldwork. So for the third one, we use evidence-based assessment approaches. This encourage the collection and review of concrete evidence of learning, such as a student-created video, peer assessment, and also teacher observation. This encourage reflective learning and also make it possible to evaluate progress accurately. So, as a curriculum division officer, by implementing this practical application into assessment processes, we are not only enhancing the curriculum, but also provide the skill to the student that they need for lifetime learning and also real-world challenges. Practical assessment promote a deeper engagement, support a variety of learning style, and provide more precise assessment of student capabilities. So I hope this answer your question, Mr. Ahmed.
It did. Thank you, Puan Erda. All right. Thank you, Puan Erda. Next, we have Puan Ashika. All right. Puan Ashika, fieldwork projects and portfolios are your specialty. What are the benefits of incorporating this into the assessment process? How do they encourage engagement, creativity, and real world application of knowledge? And last one is, what should educators keep in mind when designing and evaluating them? After you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Moderator. Assalamualaikum and hello everyone. Good evening. Okay, as a teacher trainer, it's crucial for me to incorporate fieldwork, project, and portfolio-based assessment into the educational process of teachers because I train the teachers, so I need them to be well equipped on these three. Besides exam, this is also important. So educational process offers several benefits that goes for beyond what written tests can measure. This alternative assessment method emphasizes deep understanding, application of knowledge, and personal growth, which are critical in preparing students for real-world challenges. This method encourages students to actively participate in learning processes. Fieldwork, in the other hand, allows them to observe and interact in real-world connections, strengthening the connection between theory and practice. Project promotes teamwork, problem solving, and critical thinking, while portfolio showcase long-term development, creativity, and reflection. Unlike one-off tests, these tools provide a more comprehensive view of student capabilities. Moving on to the second question, how do I encourage the engagement, creativity, and real-world application so that teachers use them in the classroom? So, as a teacher trainee myself, it is important to guide future teachers in using different type of assessments such as fieldwork, project-based, or portfolio. This method helps students learn better by making lessons more active, meaningful, connected to the real life. To encourage trainee teachers to use this method, we must help them understand and enjoy the process first. First, we can let trainee teacher experience this method themselves. For example, we can ask them to do a small project, go for classroom observation, or create a simple portfolio. When they experience how fun and useful these tasks are, they will feel more confident to use them in the future. Second, we must explain how this assessment helps students to learn. Fieldwork lets students to explore and learn outside the classroom. Project-based tasks build teamwork and problem solving. Portfolios allow students to collect and reflect on their learning processes. These methods are helpful for both students and teachers. Next, we must give clear instruction and support. Some trainees may feel unsure about how to plan fieldwork or create a rubric. So we should guide them step by step. The example, how to give a feedback and how to improve. We can also use technology to make things easier. For example, e-portfolio and can be created using Google Docs or Canva. These are the simple, free, effective for organizing work and reflection. Lastly, we should share success stories, show how other teachers use project portfolio in their classroom and how it helps students. This can inspire more and motivate teachers to try to see the bright side of using these methods. Okay, so how do we implement effectively? First things first, it's crucial to have clear learning outcome. The task should match curriculum goals and assessment criteria so students know what they are expected to achieve. Second, using a fair and transparent rubric help ensure consistent and objective grading. This is especially important when assessing creative or open-ended work. Third, educators must consider student readiness and support. Not all students are confident with their management, collaboration, or reflective writing. Teachers should guide them through the process and provide feedback along the way. Lastly, resources availability is a practical concern. Fieldwork and project often require extra time and material or even partnership with the community. This need to be planned in advance to make sure all students have equal opportunity to succeed. Overall, carefully planning and support can make alternative assessment more meaningful and beneficial than traditional exam. At teachers training institution, it's crucial to equip future educators with the skill, design, manage, and assess alternative method effectively. Workshops, peer evaluation, and exposure to real classroom scenarios can build their confidence and competency in using varied assessment strategies. So to wrap up my discussion, fieldwork, project-based tasks, and portfolios are an important tools to support active, meaningful learning. As a teacher trainer myself, it is our role to model these practices, guide trainees with clear support, and show their real life value. By doing so, we prepare future teachers to create engaging classroom where students can think critically, work collaboratively, and reflect on their learning. With the right guidance and encouragement, this assessment method can truly transform teaching and learning. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Puan Ashika. Is- That was a very helpful explanation. Okay, let's go for our last, um, the one that we have been waiting, Puan Khalida from the State Department. There are a few questions I'm going to ask you. The first one, what strategies can educators employ to effectively integrate diverse assessment methods into their practice? The second one, how can assessment methods be tailored to meet the needs of individual learners and promote inclusivity? And last one, and could you share some example of successful implementation of alternative assessment methods in various educational settings? Please, Puan Halida.
Thank you to our moderator, Mr. Amir. So as the State Department head, I have observed that traditional exam alone no longer capture student full capability, such as critical thinking, creativity, and collaboration. In today's evolving education landscape, especially in Malaysia, including the Curriculum Standard Sekolah Menengah (KSSM) and Higher Order Thinking Skill (HOT) initiative, diverse assessment like project, oral test, fieldwork that can be better reflect in the real world skill and support different learning style. For answer your first question, what is a strategy for integrating diverse assessment? As a strategy to successfully utilize different assessment, educators should connect each technique, whether oral, practical, project-based, project-based, or experimental, with well-defined learning objectives, just as those described in the Malaysian KSSM. This is to ensure that the exams are purposely academically hard and give students several opportunities to demonstrate their understanding. Besides that, a balanced use of formative example, classroom observation, peer feedback, draft review, and the summative assessment, for example, final object, oral exam, and school-based assessment is essential. Both of them are support ongoing learning and cumulative understanding. In development clear rubric, like those of used in PT3 previously, it promotes fairness, transparency, and helps student understanding expectation. Finally, for educator ongoing professional development through CPD, there is a continuous professional development program and platform like Dilemma, Digital Educational Learning Initiative Malaysia, equip teacher with the skill to confident design, manage, and implement diverse assessment strategy. For the next second, how can we tailor assessment method to meet the need of individual learner and promote inclusivity? For the second question, it includes a assessment practice. It makes sure that all students, no matter how they learn, where they come from, how smart they are, have the same chance to show what they know. This is the line with the goal of the school-based assessment, PBS, and the inclusive education program that currently in Malaysia, PPIK, is one key strategy is offering multiple mode of expression, allowing students to choose between oral presentation, visual poster, writer report, or digital media support learning. For example, in Bahasa Melayu class, students might dramatic a poem or present a visual storyboard instead of a writing. The second question, in inclusive assessment practice, it makes sure that all students, no matter how they learn, where they come from, and how smart they are, have the same chance to show what they know. This is the line with the goal of school-based assessment, that is PBS, and the inclusive education program PPIK that currently in Malaysia. One key strategy in offering multiple mode of expression. This is allowing students to choose between the oral presentation, visual poster, and writing report, or digital media support learning. For example, in Bahasa Melayu class, students might dramatic a poem or present a visual storyboard instead of writing international essay. This flexibility increases engagement and allows students to show their strength. Second part is the differentiated assessment for learner with special need. Inclusive education require provide reasonable accommodation for students with learning difficulty, disability, and with other special needs. This inclusion, inclusive education program (PPIK) emphasizes the importance of tailoring assessment to suit with individual ability. Example is the extend time for oral or writing tests, simplify visual-based or bilingual instruction, and third is the alternative format such as audio submission. This added attention ensure that all students can meaningfully engage with assessment and demonstrate their learning without disadvantage. Last, self-assessment and reflection. Encourage in pentafsiran bilik darjah PBD, help in the build of a growth mindset. Students are guided to set personal goal, reflect of their progress, and take ownership what they're learning. This process promotes intrinsic motivation and continuous improvement. In conclusion, inclusive assessment is not about lowering standard, but removing barriers so that every student have an equal opportunity to succeed. Last is the successful implementation in Malaysia. Although implementation we can show in the technical and the vocational educational and training TVET institution currently in Malaysia, students are assessed via hands-on project, live demonstration, workplace attachment, and in school, many teachers use student portfolio, especially in a subject like art, RBT, Bahasa Melayu, to track progress across the year. While in university like IPG teacher, they training colleagues using community-based project and practical report, a part of a final year assessment. And last, we know that during the MCO and PKP, we don't have a physical learning. For online learner, they use a portfolio, video presentation, and interactive tools to be a common alternative in their learning. As a conclusion, in my view in Malaysia, toward alternative assessment guide by policy like PPM, Pelan Pembangunan Pendidikan Malaysia, that is 2030 until 2025, require not only tools or training, but a mindset change. We support teacher can deliver inclusive, meaningful assessment that reflect real learning and future ready skill. I hope it can answer your question, Mr. Amir.
Alhamdulillah. Thank you for too kind, Puan Khalida. Okay, all right. We have heard such a wealth of ideas tonight, from the way Cikgu Air Natasha used observation to see learning unfold in real time, to Dr. Hasena, reminders that oral tests let students think on their feet and articulate their ideas, to Puan Erda, showed us how practical tasks can engage the head, heart, and hands, while Puan Ashika made a strong case for fieldwork, projects, and portfolios that connect learning to the world beyond school. And Puan Khalida brought it all together with strategies for integrating these approaches and making sure every learner can succeed. As moderator, I've been inspired by how each of our panelists challenge us to look beyond the exam paper and see the whole student. Their insights reminds us that assessment isn't just about grading, it's about guiding growth, nurturing curiosity, and preparing students for life. I hope you leave tonight with practical ideas to try it on your own classroom and institutions. Thank you to our panelists. Thank you, everyone, for sharing your expertise. And thank you to everyone here for your thoughtful attention. Together, we can make assessment a richer, more meaningful experience for all. Have a good adventure, guys, and good night. Thank you. Assalamualaikum.